What's up, castmates? It's your boy Justin Cologne coming to you live from the Reality Rundown. And today we have a very, very special guest coming to you all the way from Aspen. She was titled the Queen of Class from the one and only Andy Cohen. We have Kari Wells, who you all know from the original cast of Married to Medicine. Today we're here to talk about her brand new book, From Attitude to Gratitude, 15 Practices of Transforming Pain into Power.
Yes.
Help me welcome our British-born television personality, actress, entrepreneur, and now author, Kari Wells. How are you,
Hello.
Kari?
Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. I'm so excited to have you. And honestly, we watched you on Watch What Happens Live a few days ago, and I'm like, it's so good to see you back. You're a breath of fresh
Thank
air.
you.
We miss having you on television. So to sort
Yes.
of like jump back in with, going into Married to Medicine, going in back into the Bravo universe to Watch What Happens Live. It was very nice to see. How is it being
Yes.
back with Andy and back at the clubhouse? How was that?
Well, I adore Andy. I adore Bravo. And the only reason I left, because I was the original cast member and then I was a friend for, I think, 9 seasons. I would appear on different episodes. But the only reason I left was because of the robbery, which you can
Right.
read about in my book. That's the reason I left Atlanta, moved to Aspen. I always had a house here, so I would come throughout the year for resting and, to see my family. I've got my sister out here. So I came out here to recuperate from the robbery, and I decided to move back here permanently because it was just a place for healing for me. There's a lot of yoga and a lot of spirituality and a lot of things that resonate with me. And I felt at home. And so it was a good time for me to sort of make a change in my life.
Okay. I love that. I love Aspen.
Otherwise, I would
Aspen.
still be hanging out with some of the ladies. I think most of the ladies.
Some of the ladies. I love Married to Medicine. Shout out to Married to Medicine. And shout out to you for being one of the anchors and one of the cast members who helped
Originals.
start such an amazing show.
It,
So shout out
it
to that.
is. And Andy asked me that same question. Like, when you first started filming, did you think it would last this
Right.
long? And I can honestly say the first couple of episodes, I was thinking, this is not going to go anywhere because it was just chaos. There was so much like insanity happening in those early days. But it is a testament to the cast. I mean, you've got most of the original cast that are still on the show. And I think they've done a great job. They really have.
For
They've kept it
sure.
together, which is surprising even to me sometimes. They managed to make up after a breakup, which, that I do talk about that in my book, how important that can be. And so I think at the end of the day, even though they have their ups and downs, they're kind of a team and they support each other when it's needed. Like we all came for Dr. Heavenly when she started her campaign. Quad was calling me to get donations, and everybody was rallying around. So I think when there is a need and when there is something important, the girls will always come back together.
Absolutely. I love that. Okay, so today we are here to talk about your amazing book that I read from beginning to end, From Attitude to Gratitude, 15
Thank you. What did
Practices.
you think of it?
I loved it. I loved how, you know what I loved about it? I loved how you were so honest and so giving to your story about multiple stories about your trials and tribulations. On top of being so honest about your trials and tribulations, you are over here giving us the tools and the advice and ways to look at it in a positive way instead of saying, why is this happening to me? You're teaching us, what is this teaching me, and how could I dig
Yes.
deeper into my spirituality and myself to figure out what is the reason why I'm going through these things, right?
And
So
that's a
yeah,
positive shift. Yeah.
yes, it's a positive shift. It's you're like telling us all of these traumatic experiences that you went through, and then giving us tools on how to flip that. So that right there to me was super, super powerful.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to write the book, first of all?
I started writing the first chapter after the robbery. I went to see a trauma therapist, and she said to me, instead of having to tell people, because you've got to see doctors, police, all these different people, you get questioned. The FBI was involved. There was a big court case. The guys ended up getting life in prison. And so this story having to tell all the time. So I wrote it down and I would give that story. And then I'd say, if you have any questions, follow up. And then I put it away. And a couple of years later, I read it and it shocked even me because I had kind of not processed some of it. In trauma, you don't process. It's the weirdest thing. It's like you forget the most terrible things.
Right.
And so I started thinking about that. I'm like, God, even, I've forgotten certain things because it was so traumatic. And then reading it. So I started journaling. And as you said, all these other things that happened to me, which you can find out in the book, like a series of 4 terrible things. And then I began processing all of that. And I decided to ask myself, like you said, instead of saying, why is all this happening to me? Why is all this happening to me? Which is very victim like.
Right.
I started thinking, why is this happening for me? Like, what am I
Mhm.
supposed to learn from this? Why is what is this shaping me to become? And for me, I literally had to get smacked over the head. I mean, I was pistol whipped and knocked unconscious
Yeah.
to waken up to what I feel was the next chapter for me, this new journey. And it was about not denying pain, because we all have pain. We've all suffered
Mhm.
certain things, some a lot more than others. But it's about sitting with it, being present with it, and saying, why is this happening? Who am I? Who is this shaping me to become?
Right.
And I think if you don't let your pain define you and you don't let it shut you down, but you break open, which often happens with pain, we're so broken,
Mhm.
by breaking open and walking through these pain caves, as I talk about in the book, you can come out the other side kind of who you were supposed to be
Yeah.
before life knocked you down and made you a victim of your pain.
Right.
So that's really what I figured out. And I wrote it as a way to give back to the next generation. I have 2 children.
Mhm.
Kids these days, they're suffering with all sorts of things, especially stuff they're seeing online and bullying and all these things. And I thought, if I can teach young kids not to be a victim early on, but to be warriors of their own
Right.
pain, then that's a great legacy for me.
100%. And there's so many tools in this book that I think the younger generation can learn from. And you have guides for certain things that we're going to dive into in a little bit because I wrote some of my favorite ones down.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
So
pleases me so much that
yes,
you got
I
quite a
love it.
bit
I
from it.
loved it so much. So, like, when I was assigned to do this by the boss of the Reality Rundown, the CEO, I was like, this is the perfect project for me to dive into because it's literally
Fabulous.
all of the things that I like. You have such a busy life, and there's like life just goes by so fast, and like to
It
just
does.
sit back and be like, okay, I need to like start a gratitude routine again, and like dive back into these things, and like let's keep diving inward. And this
Yes.
book is about diving inward. So I 100% appreciate that,
I
Kari.
love that. Thank you.
I absolutely love the book and all the helpful tools you provide for the readers when dealing with pain, trauma, and other negative feelings. What was it like for you to relive some of your traumatic life events while writing this book?
That was really difficult. So, as anyone that's written a book would know, you write the book and then it gets proofread and all the corrections. And then, if you're lucky, you get picked up by a publisher, which I did after sending out lots of letters. And then the publisher, they'll make some edits and then they send it back to you and you have to keep reading. And then you have to read the final proof before it goes to print. And
Mm,
I had avoided reading the first couple of chapters. I'd read everything else, the
yeah.
gratitude, the spirituality, the forgiveness, all this stuff. I could read that over and over. But the hard chapters for me were the first chapters, which were really painful. And so I avoided reading those until the final time when I had to read them. But I will say this, reading through them after going through the work was a
Hmm.
lot easier for me In the
Yeah.
beginning, it was so painful writing them, especially the death of my sister and everything I went through with that,
Right.
and the trauma of my sister and her addiction, and
Hmm.
what I suffered as a kid and all of that stuff. But rereading it then at the end, I realized I'd processed some of that pain. So for me, writing this book healed me. It was amazing. So that's why I think for anyone that's going through pain or they have pain, not avoiding it is the first key. Because if you avoid your pain, it's going to come back, it's going to show up, it's going to manifest in different
Yeah.
ways, whether it's sickness, anxiety,
Yep. Energy is
or
not destroyed, it's just
lessons.
recycled in different
Yep,
ways. So
that is so
you gotta
true.
learn how to like export it out your body, whether it's
You're
writing a
so
book like
correct.
you did, whether it's doing ayahuasca in the rainforest and like going
Yeah,
through it,
whatever it is for you,
whatever it is
whatever
for
your
you.
journey
Yeah,
is.
for sure.
And you
That's
hit the
super
nail on the head. The
powerful.
universe doesn't waste energy. So your pain could be recycled into wisdom.
Right.
And I think that's the message of the book that I was trying to get across is it's not about avoiding pain and it's not about denying pain. It's about using it for your advantage.
I think that that message was definitely clear as a reader, for sure.
Great, great.
Yes. All right, let's move on. After reading this book, I realized you've been through a lot of trying times. Like reading this book was a little rough to
It
like
was.
realize like how many things one person can go through. You talk about getting robbed at gunpoint, losing your sister, and many other trials. Without giving away too many details for the readers, what was the light bulb moment that had you realize you need to change your outlook on why is this happening to me versus why is this happening for me?
Um, I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of people, especially the people that saw me on Bravo, they just thought, oh, she's born with a silver spoon in her mouth, this lucky British girl that, has everything given to her. And as you know, nothing could really be further from the truth. So that I'm glad, readers will get to hear and see. But also, I think for me, somebody told me that once. I think maybe when I was having trauma therapy, and that resonated with me. It was like, why is this happening for you? And to be able to make that small shift, it gives you agency, it gives you power. You're no longer a victim. You are in charge of the solution to your problems.
Right.
So it's not that you don't have a problem. You're by not being a victim of it, you can also be in charge of the solution to it.
100%. And I think that little small shift in thinking is really powerful because when I'm like, even when I like get something small as like a flat tire, I'm like,
Yeah.
huh, let me
Yeah.
rethink on like I just need to recalibrate, you know what I mean?
That flat tire could be saving you from getting on the highway and having a terrible accident. It could
Exactly.
be anything. It could be a blessing.
A
So
blessing.
that's
Why
why,
exactly? Why can't I find my keys? I'm running late to work. Well, plenty of people were late to 9/11 and
yeah, maybe you just need
their
to
lives were
slow down. The
saved.
universe is telling you just take a beat.
Take a time.
And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that once you get that,
Yeah,
everything clicks. It's
for
like you
sure.
are the master of your universe
For
because
sure.
everything that happens to you, I always say the things that happen to me, positive and negative, I take ownership of. And
Of
that's hard
course. Yeah.
sometimes when it's something that you really, even the robbery, like
Right.
that happened to me. It was part of my life. And I feel it's a way of shaping you into something. So I take it as a blessing almost.
100%. 100% aligns with that thought process. I'm so happy I'm doing this interview with you, by the way.
I love that. I'm so happy you are too. That the fact that you're so enthusiastic as I am. So that
Yes.
shows.
In part of the book, you had four very traumatic things happen to you back to back that had me
Yes.
mind blown while reading it. How did you not give up after those moments? Did you feel unaligned with the universe as this was happening back to back? Because I feel like when things happen to me back to back, it could be as little as I have a ticket on my car, or and then I get to work and something's not going right at work. The printer's not working. I feel like when those things happen to me, and those are not as traumatic as the things you went through, I feel like I'm unaligned in some way or another. Did you
Yes.
feel like there was some unalignment with the universe when you were going with you and the universe, your relationship with, your spirit guides and all of the things? Did you feel like that there was a moment where you looked back and you were like, I need to figure out how to get back aligned? Did you ever feel
Yes.
unaligned?
100%. I, at the breaking point, felt, am I cursed? Like, I'm a very
Right,
positive person. I
right.
believe, everything happens for a reason. Most of it's to benefit me in some way. And I started thinking, oh my God, am I like, is that not true? I started doubting everything that I ever believed. And I started thinking, maybe this is it. My luck's run out, as I always believe I'm a lucky person. And
Yeah.
maybe this is going to be the rest of my life. And maybe I'm just cursed and this black cloud's going to be following me around forever. And it was like, I was truly broken. Like at that point, I was truly broken. Sorry.
No, totally
But
fine.
it's a time when you really have to sit with that pain.
Yeah,
And even now thinking about that, it brings a heaviness to my chest because it was hard. It
yeah,
was really difficult.
yeah,
And I just refused to let that define me. I was like, I'm not going out like this. This is not going to be my story. I am wanting to create a positive legacy. I'm wanting to use this. And I believe also in like Aikido, like my kids, if you've done karate or anything like that, opposing force. So you take the opponent's energy and you use it for them to fall. And that's what this is like. It's the yin and yang. If you can use that negative energy and all that horrible stuff that's happening to you and shift it into something positive, then you feel empowered.
we
But
are
it is hard,
alchemists.
especially for anyone going through something like this right now, any
Yeah,
trauma, any time they feel they've been really done wrong by people. It's hard not to stay in that negative place. And some people need to stay there for a while. I call it going through the pain caves. But
uh-huh.
eventually you will see the light at the end and you will get
Hmm.
through if you are open to your journey.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's called alchemy, ladies and gentlemen. We're alchemists
Yes,
transforming negative,
alchemy.
yes, transforming energy in general, right? So
Yes,
like we said earlier, energy cannot be destroyed. So it's all about
only
how
transformed.
transformed, exactly. So this book teaches you how to be an alchemist, if you
How
will.
to be an alchemist. I love
Yes,
that.
a
Thank you.
100%. So you write in your book about losing your sister due to unfortunate circumstances, and you
Yes.
also talk about the stages of grief. Which stage did you experience the longest in the grieving process of losing your sister?
I would say the what if. I lived in a place where I constantly was asking myself, and all of my family was like, what if we had have done something differently? What if we
Hmm.
had have, and we tried everything. She went to rehab 3 times. My parents did the best they could with the information they had.
Right.
Um, and surprisingly, it was at a time when she was out of rehab and doing great that it happened. She was out at a party, somebody gave her something. She came home. She said, someone gave me something because she would have a lot of pain, a lot of stomach and back pain. And what they'd given her was methadone, which is sold on the dark market in England.
Yeah.
And she went to sleep and never woke up. It's like fentanyl, very
Yeah.
similar.
Hmm.
Um, and 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 this was after she'd been through everything and survived it. So it was a time when we were just questioning everything. Like,
Yeah.
had she not gone out that night? Had she, had someone been with her? Had her friend, because her friend, she told her friend, and her friend went to sleep. And then when she checked on her, she was dead. And so her friend, of course, was asking all the questions. What if I'd have stayed with her? What if I'd have? gotten an ambulance? What if I'd have it, oh, the what if is what drives you absolutely mental
Yeah.
for the longest period of time. And I
Hmm.
think for me, that was the hardest part.
Oof, yes. By the way, my condolences to you and your family because reading that was heart wrenching. So I could only
Yes.
imagine like the process of coming out of that had to be strong for you and your parents.
Yes. Yeah. And for anyone going through grief, there's no time frame. It's not like you ever get over it. You live with it for
Right.
the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But it's something that nobody can rush. Like you can't say, "Oh, you're going to grieve for this time or that time." It's such a personal journey, and I think for my parents, losing a child, is the worst thing ever. For me, losing a sibling was terrible. But I think
Yeah.
anyone, the death of a child is something you just never be the same.
Yes. Well, blessings to you and your family, Carrie, from the Reality
Thank you,
Rundown.
thank you.
Seriously. Um, yeah, because that part of their book resonated with me because I lost my uncle to substance abuse, and it's substance abuse hits a lot of families. So I think that
Well,
people
grief is
reading,
such
yeah,
yes, it's such a
people
big
reading
topic
it is
now.
gonna be is there's so many ways to connect with you while reading this book because yeah, it's more common than we know.
Well, I love what Anderson Cooper does. He does a great podcast on grief, and it's surprising how many people he has, all different stages of grief. And when you listen to any one of those podcasts, it's heartbreaking
Yeah.
to just hear what people are going through. And
Hmm.
surprisingly, a lot of it is substance abuse, um, fentanyl,
Yeah.
addiction, untreated, things like that, where people are not getting the help they need. So, in addition to sharing my story, I hope to take away some of the stigma of addiction because
Hmm.
it's not a weakness, it's not a character flaw, it is a disease. And I think when people are suffering with addiction, so many people sort of cast them out of society as like, oh, they've done drugs or they've an alcoholic or whatever. And they are suffering just like any other
Yeah.
illness. They are suffering. They didn't choose that. That chose them.
Right. For
And I
sure.
think in our lifetime, we'll probably figure out that addiction, there's some brain chemistry. There's something that people will figure out, scientists, doctors will figure out that they could maybe do an MRI of the brain and figure out, that's what they have or that's how they are predisposed, just like
Right.
most illnesses.
For sure. I really hope that happens because addiction is running
Yeah. Well, sorry
rampant.
about your uncle. It
Thank
it
you.
is, and it's kind of an illness of shame, So a lot of people that are suffering with addiction feel the shame not only of repeating the addiction behavior with drugs or alcohol, but the shame of society, which is
Right.
really tragic, and that's hurtful.
100%. 100%. Well, um, you were very candid in many of your dark times. Out of any of the experience you shared with us in the book, which one felt like rock bottom? Because you share so many different perspectives in
Oh,
some of your experiences. So, which one was like, damn, I hit this is rock bottom?
um, it's hard to define because they all made me feel like that.
Right.
And the death of my sister had been some years, and then I had the robbery and jewelry and everything else happening to me, and then our employee. I think that was particularly the most painful because it was someone we trusted to find out that she'd been stealing from us.
Yeah,
Um,
that was
that to
horrendous.
me was like a deep betrayal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were all very painful. I'd
Yeah.
say, yeah, that because the sequence in them happening, I guess that was the rock bottom.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, so you have very helpful tools in this book to overcome a variety of things, such as 4 transformational practices of processing emotional pain, 5 ways to shift into a survivor mindset, 7 unexpected gratitude practices, and a lot more. Which one is your favorite, like from your toolbox?
I think the most powerful thing you can do today to change is not to be a victim. Deciding not to be a victim is one of the most powerful things you can do in life. And a lot of people misunderstand gratitude. They see it as, oh, gratitude, I should be grateful. It's like some arbitrary thing. But it's
Hmm.
not a mood, it's a decision that you're making every day
Right.
to choose to see things in a certain way. And science has shown that the more you practice gratitude, it's like a muscle, it becomes more commonplace. So a
Hmm.
person that has had any type of gratitude practice will see life differently. They'll experience more joy, more peace, less anxiety, because
Hmm.
you are owning your life and you're choosing a certain path. And that is where the power lies. So it's not just this like airy fairy mood, like gratitude, oh, I'm so happy, or
Right.
toxic positivity. It's it's really like going to the gym and using a muscle that you can then recall, and it will be easier to practice.
100%. And they say gratitude is the key to abundance from
It
some,
truly is
it
because
really is.
it's the more you practice it, the more you receive.
Yeah.
It's the alchemy, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Again, you're creating this positive flow that comes to you, and
Yep.
then you receive all this abundance. And on my bad days, it's not to say I don't have bad days. Of course I do. I'll sit down and I'll try and think of, okay, what are 10 things I'm really grateful for? And you can go on from that. It could be 100 things, but just starting with a few things, I guarantee by the time you get to 10, you're going to be feeling a lot better than when you started at one.
100%. I hope our listeners are listening. Getting
We're giving
step
away all
in.
the tools here. We're giving away all the
Yes,
tools.
step into gratitude, my darlings. It really, really, really does help, and it really does open the doors for abundance. Once you tap in, you really got to tap in.
Yes.
So yes. So you talk about in your book surviving a violent robbery, which was really rough to read because you were very, very, very descriptive and very open in all of the experiences that you share. What changed how safe you felt in the world? And do you still feel that way after the robbery?
It was unfortunate because I truly felt my life as I knew it had ended. Even though I survived the robbery, I
Right.
felt I didn't feel safe in my home. I didn't feel safe in my community. I didn't feel safe if I went shopping, if I went to the mall, if I went to the movies. I'd constantly be like, where's my exit? What will I do? And in my book, I use the quote, everybody has, Mike Tyson would say, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And it was so true for me because prior to that, I always felt, oh, if I'm robbed, I'll give them the stuff or they just want your belongings. They're not going to harm you. Well, that's not the
Right.
truth. And so it took away my naive view of the world in a way. And I've traveled and I've been places, I've been to countries where it's far more unsafe than America, but I just never felt safe. And it wasn't until, it's the reason I moved and I became more private with my life. We sold our home. I sold the building I had. We sold everything. And my husband
Wow.
sold his business. And we made a major, major shift because of my panic and fear of living.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that has to be like a rebirth of how you view the world after something like that happens,
It
right?
really does. And I did feel a lot safer once they were caught.
Oh, good. Okay.
And then, of course, there was the trial. But, I still feel bad for them. I feel bad that these young guys, I think, what happened to them that they live their life that way? Like,
Yeah.
what are they just psychopaths or did they have some like brutal thing happen to them? So, I talk about forgiveness. I talk about that in one of the chapters. And I think it's a way of not hanging on to that pain so much.
Yeah. 100%. And it's so admirable to listen to you even have empathy for the people who hurt you. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot, like we said, alchemy to really turn that energy into something positive. So I would just wanted to
It really does, and
yeah.
yeah, I'm glad I'm on the other side of it.
Yes, it's really that's a superpower because not everybody could get to that point. When people go through traumatic experiences, as the ones that you speak about in the book, it could go either way. It could either go this way, where you're turning your pain into power, like you talk about, or you could just go down a downward spiral for the rest of your life. Of
Well, I'm
not
hoping that this book will
people. Yeah,
prevent people going down that downward
yeah,
spiral, because it is easy to just sit in that darkness for so long,
for
and
sure.
some people never get out of it,
Yeah,
and but there is a way if you
there
prepare
is a
to do the
way.
work.
There is a way. Um, Was there a point where you felt like your back was to the wall? At Sorry, let me reframe that question. Was there a point where you felt like your back was to the wall at its fullest that it made you want to stop looking for healing? Like it made you want to stop doing the work?
um I For a short period,
Okay.
I think everybody feels like that. You give up and you just like, okay, universe, what the hell, what is
WTF.
but it, when you're on the floor, the only place you can go is up.
Right.
So I
Period.
think once you've had that absolute rock bottom where nothing is working and everything is turned to complete crap, you can stay on the floor or you can get up and just say, today I'm going to make a difference. Today I'm going to do something. I'm going to take one step towards towards rising up and not living on the floor.
Right. I love that. I love that outlook because if you don't have that outlook, life is just a little bit harder, ladies and
It
gentlemen.
it it truly
It
is,
really,
and
really is.
yeah, no one should ever stay on the floor for too long.
Yeah, no.
It's hard.
So, in your book, you talk about 15 different practices. Which of the
Yes.
15 practices was the hardest for you to follow when you needed it the most?
Um, Forgiveness, I would say,
That's a hard
because
one. That is a hard one.
forgiveness is like peeling the layers off an onion. It's not
Yeah,
just you do it and it's done. I'm great. I've forgiven that person or I've forgiven this person. It is, it truly is layers and layers, and it can be a lifetime. And for me, I'm not going to give away the secrets in my book, but
Mm-hmm.
learning to forgive myself was a very hard thing.
Yep.
Learning to forgive myself for allowing myself to be in certain situations, allowing myself to be in certain relationships,
That's the
allowing
shadow work
myself
right there.
to put up with certain people, to not speak up for myself. And self forgiveness is what a lot of people fail to see. They may forgive somebody else, and it may be very
Yeah.
hard. But the one thing I want to point out about forgiveness, you're not letting the person get away with it. It's not saying that they didn't wrong you or they didn't do something unjust or terrible. It's allowing yourself to not suffer for the rest of your life with the pain that they already gave you. It's
100%.
freedom.
Yep. I agree. Forgiveness is definite. Forgiving yourself, forgiving others is hard, but sometimes you forgive others before you forgive yourself. But forgiving yourself is doing the shadow deep root work. So,
Yes. And there'll be people in your life that you'll have to forgive many times. It's
yeah.
not um the girl that worked for us for 12 years and did all those horrible things. It took me a long time to forgive her because
Oh
that
my
was personal.
God.
The
That,
robbers, I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
yeah.
They just wanted, to rob some people. That it was easier to forgive them than it was to forgive her.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Because that's like family. Like
Yeah.
that right there, getting stabbed in the back by
Yeah.
what you
And
spoke
I
about in your book is like, well, I want the readers to read it, but that is like rough.
And I think anyone that's been through childhood trauma or anything with a family member, forgiving them
Yep.
takes a lot, because every time you get triggered by something and you realize, oh, it's because of what happened to me,
Yeah.
you have to re-forgive them.
Yeah. And
But by
that's
forgiving
important.
them, you're not allowing that person to wound you for the rest of your life. So it's for you. Forgiveness is always for you.
Always. 100% agreed. Always for you. And it just takes a level of, it just takes like some weight off your shoulders
It
too.
does. It
It really
does. And it's hard. Forgiveness is very, very hard,
does. Yeah.
but it's very powerful.
Super powerful. Amen to that.
Yes.
All right, let's move on a little bit. In your book, you talk about ways you can show gratitude and different routines you can incorporate through your day to show gratitude. Were there ever moments where you were in your gratitude practice that you felt like you were faking the funk during a hard time? Like you were trying your best to be grateful, you were trying your best to do a step into your gratitude practice, but something was super heavy on your brain. You're like, I'm just faking the funk right now.
Yes, I think everybody feels that. I think it's
100%.
completely normal. Nobody is, I'm not the type of guru that's like, constantly positive, because I think that's impossible. It's a way of living your life and doing the best you can with what you have. And nobody is perfect. And there's going to be days where you feel like crap and you just think, oh, how can I be grateful for today?
Hmm.
But if you can find something and just focus on that thing until it grows and grows and grows, then that's the service you're giving yourself with gratitude. But
Absolutely
yeah, there are
agree.
definitely days for me where it's hard. And there are nights when I'm laid down after a hard day and I have to really focus on my gratitude.
Yes, I agree. It's rough sometimes, man. It
It is.
really
Life is rough.
is.
We all suffer. To be
Yes,
human is to suffer. But if we can soften some of the suffering as we go through life, then that's what it's all about.
100%. 100%. So we talked about one of the practices that you felt like you had some difficulties with, which was forgiveness. Which one of your practices do you feel like you're like the best at? You feel like you nail it every time, and it just makes you feel super good.
I
And
think manifestation and mind over matter. I'm always the type of person that can see the glass as half full as opposed to half empty. I'm just not one of these people that focuses on negative things. I refuse to have that negative self talk. Now, that's not to say that I didn't used to be like that, and you'll find out about that if you read in the book. But it's a practice that I was able to sharpen, and I am an expert at it. My husband says that I don't see problems, I only see solutions.
I love that.
And I love to live that way. And it's a
I
choice. It's not, I wasn't born that way.
right.
I have used a lot of these tools to become that person. And I feel that's one thing I have down. Like I really refuse to see, I think there's always a solution to most problems, unless it's, health and, even financial problems, there's always a
Right.
solution. People say unless it's money and health, but there's always a solution to financial problems. It's just being
Right.
creative. But health
100%.
problems is one thing that people can really suffer, life and death situations.
Mhm.
But even on that, changing the mindset can be a super helpful way of getting through it.
100%. I love that. I love that you're so confident in saying that too, because once people realize that it's easy to just flip the switch to think that way and just change the way of thinking
Yes.
and like viewing life, life just gets a little bit easier.
And I go through a way that you can teach yourself that in the book.
Yes, you sure
If you
do.
are a person that generally has negative, you have to listen to what you're telling yourself. And if you're telling yourself, I'm not good enough, this is never going to work for me, it's never going to happen, no one's going to listen to me, nothing's going to, I'm not going to get that job, I'm not going to get that promotion, you're not going to. You're right,
Yeah.
you are not going to.
But yeah.
So you need to start telling yourself different things. And I
Mhm.
find that for me, that has been one of the best things in my life. Once I learned that, I used it, and it's sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. Amen to that, Carrie. I agree, and that's the way people need to look at life. And if you need help, it's in the book. People, make sure you grab
Yes,
from attitude to gratitude. Um, so let's switch gears a little bit.
yes.
Okay. So people met you on the hit show Married to Medicine. How different is the woman we saw on season one from Married to Medicine different from the woman who wrote this book?
Wow, that's a great question. Okay, so how am I different? Well, on Married to Medicine, season one, we were all these casts together in situations, and you film over and over, and then the Bravo chooses, or whoever edits the show chooses what part of the story to tell.
Right.
And so, not that things are fully manipulated, but they can definitely be edited in a way that maybe shows people in a different light. And I felt that during the first season, people didn't really get to know the real me. That's why I wanted to go back as a friend,
Uh
to
huh.
show up at events, to be able to talk freely, be my authentic self. And I think viewers got to see me more, the real me, in the remaining episodes. So I think in season one, I was never allowed to show, or not allowed, but the opportunity never came up to show the real me. And it's not that I can't be, if someone like comes for me in a negative way, I'm going to defend myself. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
wallflower. I didn't grow up that way.
Right.
So I would always have to have the last word. I was the youngest of seven kids. Like, the baby would always answer back because I had these brothers and sisters telling me what to do all the time. And
Yeah.
so in Marriage to Medicine, when cast members would say horrible things about me or say something, I would answer back. I would fight for myself. And of course, that sometimes all viewers would see. They wouldn't see the moments I was being kind or being, it would be the snappy comment I said to somebody. So I think, it's good that I was in remaining seasons, because you got to see more of a rounded version of me rather than bickering
Right.
woman from season one. So
Being on a very public platform like Married to Medicine, was it hard to process trauma privately?
yes, because first of all, I didn't want anyone to know that it had happened,
Right.
because I was afraid that before the robbers were caught, they might come and kill me because I was a
Yeah.
witness.
Yeah.
And so I was worried for my kids. I was worried, and I talk about this in the book, what we did to protect ourselves. Um, but I was super worried, and I wanted to drop out of that platform.
Yeah.
But once you've been on television and everybody, it's like the story's going to be told about you.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, on season one of the cast members, I won't say who, but she's no longer a cast member, got lots of bots from India, I think, and would just have these bots online say horrible things about anyone she didn't like. And
Oh
so I would
no.
get all these messages, a lot of them the same: you're ugly, you're old, you botched lips, you need a facelift, whatever, over and over and over. And I would think, oh my God, that's terrible. Do people think that about me? No, it was the bloody bots like
It was
coming
the
out. I've
bloody
since,
bots.
yeah, learned. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And that was traumatizing. It was
Yeah.
terrible. It was awful. And I think anyone that's been through any type of social media, I mean, kids go through it all the time because they all, get bullied on their phones. It's hard. It was hard for me as
Yeah.
an adult. I can't imagine what it's like for kids. So I think that type of behavior was very hard for me. And I think the more people get to know me, they'll see. And in the book, I am my 100% authentic self. I lay it all out. I don't care. I have nothing to hide. It's just, I think if you are your authentic self, you meet other people, and it gives them permission to be their authentic selves. And then beautiful souls meet beautiful souls. So I have amazing friends. I've got people I connect with. I'm still friends with some of the ladies on the show, even though we've had issues over the years, we still are able to connect on a very good level.
Oh,
And I
good.
think that's what it's about when you're your true self.
Love that. I really love that. I love that you're still connected to some of the women as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I love what Heavenly's doing now. I really wish her the best. I think she is the perfect person to go into politics. And I think, she's got a great career ahead of her. We need people like that.
Shout out to Heavenly from Kari.
Yes.
Okay, so was there ever a time you felt like you were falling apart while filming Married to Medicine, but felt pressure to appear put together?
100%.
Okay.
After the fight scene that happened at my home,
Oh
many
gosh,
viewers,
we're gonna talk about that a little later, but go ahead.
okay, misconstrued the situation and as a result thought I had called the police, which I had not.
Hmm.
And that was it. I was like, I'm done. This is showing me something I didn't do.
Right.
They didn't say I did, but the way it was aired, and then of course Mariah going on saying all the things she said about me, and I was done. I was like, this is not what I went into this for.
Right.
Um, and I really felt after that I was really, really broken.
Mm.
But I continued. I had a contract, of course, I had to fulfill,
Right.
and it ended well. But the reunion for me was really hard. I couldn't get a word in with Mariah and Todd talking over me the whole time. So I just was like, I'm just giving up. And I kind of wish I had fought for myself a bit more at that reunion. I was just like, I was done by then.
Yeah. Sometimes it's enough is enough. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
All right. So I'm gonna ask you some fun questions before we play a game.
Great.
Okay. So if your season of Married to Medicine was a chapter in this book you wrote, what would be the lesson or takeaway you want the readers to learn from?
Um, I think forgiveness, because what do they have on that show more than anything? Forgiveness. And I
Right.
think as crazy as it gets and the insanity that happens, they forgive each other.
100.
And that's a powerful tool.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That is very, very true.
Yeah, and we get to see it over and over every season.
Yeah. That show
And some
has
of
the
those
most
things,
consistent cast on the network.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
some of those things are so hard to forgive.
Yeah. a
They
hundred
find a way,
percent.
so that's good.
But yeah, I agree because they definitely learned the power of forgiveness on that cast because that's the longest running consistent cast on the whole network, by the
Yes,
way. So
yes,
shout out to them. So forgiveness would be the title, the chapter of your Married to Medicine life, right? Okay,
yes,
so
forgiveness.
in the book, you talk about what happened to your sister. If your
Yes.
sister could read this book, what do you think she would say to you?
I think she would be very proud of me because I talk about the legacy that she left me, which was empathy, really. She was always a person that was completely understanding of others. She was, she different cultures, different groups, different
Hmm.
people, all walks of life. She was so kind to everybody. And I think after she died, that was the legacy that she left me with, about never judging another person unless you have really walked a mile in their shoes,
Right.
or never, you just don't know. And she would often say to me, she'd give money to the homeless and food to people. And she'd say, you just don't know what that person has been through. And that, a couple of years after her death, I realized was the legacy. It was a way that something I'll never forget. And I like to live that way. I just
Yeah.
think, no one should be judging anyone else, because unless you have lived their life, most people are doing the best they can. Unless you've actually
Mhm.
lived their life, how the hell do you know what you would do in
Right.
that situation? So I think it gave me a lifelong lesson in empathy. And I think she'd be super proud of me. And I
I
hope so.
love that.
I
She
hope so.
definitely would be proud for
Yes.
sure. This is
Yeah.
definitely something to be proud of for sure. Okay. Did writing this book reopen wounds you thought you had healed?
It definitely did. Yeah, I mean, I still have wounds. I'm not saying that
Right.
I don't have wounds after writing this book, and some of the wounds are lifelong wounds. But what I do have is a way of dealing with those wounds when they come up, and a
Yeah.
way of sort of transforming those wounds into something that's not going to keep me down.
Hmm.
But yeah, I still have wounds.
We all do, honey. And
Everybody does, and that's why we need more
yeah,
empathy in the world.
yes,
People are wounded,
yeah,
it's we need to be kinder to people.
yeah,
And right now in the world there's so much unkindness and injustice, and
yeah,
people just not sharing common humanity. So I
yeah.
think if we can all just be a bit kinder, the world would be such a nicer place.
100%. And to do the work, just like that, like the work that's in your book that you give us the tools for. Like putting in the work is really going to make you not only feel better, but also how you project yourself into the world, how you show up.
It so
Yeah,
is. And you obviously have done work yourself. That's why you're able to hear the
yeah,
messages in the book.
for sure.
And people spend hours in the gym, but they're not doing work on their
Inside,
mental health and their inside. And that's where most people need to do the most work.
100%. If everybody had the ability to just know how powerful they were to do the inner work and commit to the inner work, the world would be so much better, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. It really would.
Okay, I have an interesting. I have three more questions for you. And the last two are very very interesting.
Ooh.
For me, I'm just interested to see what you would say. Right?
Okay. Okay.
What part of your story did you almost leave out of the book?
What part of the story?
What part of your story did you almost leave out of the book? Like this was too, maybe this, it was too much, or you didn't want to relive it, or was there
The
any
death of
part
my
of your
the,
book that you felt like you were going to leave out, but put it in anyway?
yeah, the death of my sister. I couldn't write that chapter. It was way too painful. And
Yeah.
that was something at the time I almost wasn't ready to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Um, if someone is listening right now and is in the middle of their worst chapter, what would you tell them?
Um, to be kind to themselves, to know that they are doing the best they can, and to seek help,
Yeah.
whether that's with a counselor, a therapist, trusted friend. Um, Obviously, read the book because there's a lot of tools in that. But to be kind to themselves and to get help.
Yes. 100%. Well, Carrie, there are so many powerful tools in this book, and I want to personally say how inspiring it was to read from hearing your
Thank
personal
you.
trials and tribulations and how you reframed your thought process to positivity and commitment to your spiritual healing. It's truly inspiring
Oh,
it was truly
thank
inspiring
you.
to read, especially because I have very similar learnings from like different books and through yoga, and I saw that you
Yes,
do yoga through in the book, so like it was really really amazing
it's
to read,
yeah,
and
and it's a
I want everyone to,
lifelong journey to work on yourself. But who better to do it?
right, lifelong journey, then you can start right here from attitude to gratitude. I'm going to name a few moments from your time on Married to Medicine, and you're going to let me know your opinion about it. You can
Ooh,
give me a word, you can give me two words, etc. Okay?
okay.
Pool party incident.
The Black Eye event, which I named it, by the way, that. Supposed to be a black tie event. It was a black eye event.
Your opinions or thoughts on joining a new group of women?
On joining a new group of women in general or for a new show?
Oh, well, on your time for I'm Married to Medicine.
Um, I'm always down for fun.
Okay. What are your thoughts on being labeled as the villain?
If I am the villain, I will own it. But I don't think I'm the villain, really. I'm just intriguing.
I like that choice word. Finding your voice.
The most important thing you can do as a woman or as anyone, the most
Mhm.
important thing you can do.
Your thoughts on doubling down on calling Dr. Damon daddy.
Dr. Damon Daddy, I mean, come on, it flows. Dr. Damon Daddy, that should be his name. I mean, come on. It's it's the best.
Oh, so we're still gonna double down on that, Carrie, huh?
Yeah, I love that name. Every time I see him, I think Dr. Damon Daddy.
Your thoughts on your drink throwing shenanigans back and forth with Heavenly.
I give what is no, I give back. I love to give back in the world, whether it be a drink or anything. I'll give back. I'm all about giving back. You know that, right?
I love that. um, your thoughts on being called a medical mistress.
Mm. My husband definitely liked it. He's
Ooh.
made me use that over and over. 24 years of beautiful marriage. What can I say? It's working.
Let them know, Carrie. Let them know. And your thoughts on your exit from Married to Medicine.
I wasn't fired. Let's just make that clear. There's a reason I was back on Watch What Happens Live. I've always kept a great relationship. Um, yeah, it was time for me. I wanted to take a break, and I was happy to leave, and then I was happy to go back as a friend. And yeah, it's
Okay.
something I don't ever regret. I don't believe in having regrets. But it worked great for me because it was a way that I still had, two young kids, my business. I was traveling. My mom was ill at that time. And so I couldn't go back as a full-time cast member. It was just
Yeah.
too much pressure. And I think it worked great. It was a great platform for me.
If you had the opportunity in the future to rejoin the group, would you make that decision or choice?
If I was living in Atlanta or if we did a show out here in Aspen, which we may do, definitely. I have a great relationship with Bravo. I would love to go back to something if it works out. But now I'm living in Aspen,
Right.
it would have to be the Housewives of Aspen.
Ooh. The Real
And just
Housewives of Aspen. Andy
Aspen.
Cohen, I hope you're listening. Okay.
He's listening. Let me just tell you, he
The
is listening.
Real Housewives of Aspen with Carrie as the center housewife. So
The nucleus of the group.
you know how each housewife show has their thing that they put to the front, right? Atlanta has their peach, Potomac has their flute, Salt Lake City has the snowflake. What would be the token signal for the Real Housewives of Aspen if you could pick it?
It could be a beautiful aspen leaf set in gold, or it could be
Ooh.
the gold membership to the mountain club that you have to pay $200,000 for, the emblem for that. Or a lifetime ski pass or anything really in Aspen, because we have a lot of small things that are worth a fortune. A gold aspen leaf.
I love that. Gold Aspen Leaf. Are you listening, Andy? Are you listening? Production at Bravo. The Real Housewives of Aspen starring Kari Wells. Let's make it happen, people.
Manifestation.
Manifest it. Let's go. What's next for you, Kari, in the world? What's next after you do your book tour and after you share
I'm
your knowledge with the world? What is next for Kari Wells?
I'm working on a project that gives back because I love giving back. And it's a show called Aspen Unfiltered. It's a lifestyle show here in Aspen. And it's a way of preserving some of the stories and sharing stories about the community because people come here and they only see this billionaire postcard view, but there's a lot more to Aspen than that.
Right.
And each episode gives back to a local nonprofit. So
Oh, nice.
that we filmed the first season and we are looking right now to try and get distribution with Roku, Hulu, or Vizio, and then we'll film season 2. But yeah, I've been working on that and it's a great project.
Love that so, so much. Good luck on that, by the way. Well, Kari, I want to thank you so much for stopping by the Reality Rundown and giving us your input and your thought process behind your amazing, amazing book. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget to get From Attitude to Gratitude, 15 Practices for Transforming Pain into Power from the OG of Married to Medicine, Kari Wells. Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Kari.